budget and her binder.
Yeah.
She's talking
Okay,
about
we
something.
will call this meeting
Is
to
she
order.
home or is she?
The purpose of the meeting is to conduct regular business for the month of August. And just a quick word, Teresa could not be here because she had surgery, so you have to put up with me. All right, moving on. We will do the adoption of the agenda.
I move we adopt the agenda.
I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right, the next thing is public comment. And Jeanette, I believe you're up first. If you want to, you can sit there or you can stand at the podium, whichever you'd like.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, you can, sit there, you can stand, whatever you want to do.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm here on behalf of my water bill, which is $1,649 this month. And I have an underground water leak that wasn't found for about 3 weeks. And I finally got a plumber down there, and he told me it was the water meter. So we got the boys from town to come down, and they said, no, it wasn't the water meter, and they discovered the ground going from the house to the water meter was soaking wet. And that's when we found that old galvanized pipe that was put in there years and years and years ago was full of holes. And I'm here to ask for help. That's all I can tell you.
Can you explain our policy, which I cannot remember entirely? That has gone into effect, hasn't it?
Yes, if there has not been, and we'll just have to talk, Ms. Rowland, and we'll have to talk, Ms. Rowland, and see, if you've not had any, if you've not had any kind of adjustment in the past 12 months, they can take the sewer side of that off, and then we can work out a payment plan. You don't have any sewer at her place? Okay, then we will, if you will come by tomorrow, I can work with you on a plan to get that taken care of, okay? All right,
Where would you be?
at Town Hall. Just come by Town Hall and I'll come down and we'll talk about what we can do, okay?
Okay, here.
All right, you be there, I'll be there too.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Watch your step.
I've seen you in ages.
I've been in the same place where you been.
She get it fixed.
I understand.
I'm afraid we're gonna have that problem. Got me there soon. Lucy Dahl.
Is that at the building down here at the court? Oh.
Hey y'all, I just wanted to let you all know that there is a new resident of the town of Burnsville. Pensacola's loss is Burnsville's gain. Jim Hurlier is registered, so I was happy to announce that to y'all. And I'll be back in January for my regular monthly attendances, whether or not I am elected. It's good to see y'all.
And I was going to mention Jim as a new resident when I saw him come in, so sorry. Oh, no, that's good. Danny McIntosh.
Meeting counselors, town staff, visitors, and everybody. Friday, I believe it was, I came by the town center here and talked with Corbin about renting the center for the event, we talked about it. I think the fee was gonna be $695, I believe that's right for you. And you know, that's a bargain. I couldn't do it at home for that. And when I look back over the years, and the town center's been in operation now 15 years. And during that time, I think Sharon and I have rented the town center for 8, I believe this is gonna be the 9th time. And I always had a good experience, and I always felt good about it. And so we got a substantial investment of that, it's under $4,000, I guess. And then, and I'm good with that. And then I know that when I write my check here, probably next month, I don't know when, unless he's gonna put the bills in the mail, Kevin, Chad, everybody, that when I write a check for the town taxes, about $100, that check is gonna go to the operation of the town center, because it cannot clear or make or produce enough revenue to pay for its operation. And you know, I'm gonna be good with that. Given that the town has had the policy of applying the fee schedule to everybody on an equal basis, and I think that's good business. Because this is not public property in the sense that a street or a sidewalk is. It's open for use to anybody, anytime, anything that goes somewhere. This is an enterprise, much like water and sewer. You know, the state law requires water and sewer to pay for itself. So my appreciation to you would be to maintain that policy. That the brewery pays as much as the church, that the family reunion pays as much as the baby shower, that the musician pays as much as the bridal expo or whatever. I just think that's good business, and I appreciate y'all holding to that policy. Well, I'm about out of time, Brian. You ready to pull the trigger on? It'll do it itself. It'll do it itself. I had a couple of things to talk about the upcoming highway and traffic plan and everything. I hope we get to comment on that sometime in the future, since that's just a draft y'all will see. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Danny. The next thing is the consideration of the minutes, and it's the regular minutes on July the 1st. I need a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We're all in favor? All right. There is no public hearing. And the next one is a presentation by the Yancey County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. David Graham.
Thank you, council, for having me tonight. Haven't been up in front of a town council or local government in a long time, so if I start mumbling and stumbling, please forgive me. I'm just gonna go through a brief overview of the comprehensive transportation plan for Yancey County that we have just finished up. Can you all hear me okay, or is this?
Yes.
Okay. The Yancey County Comprehensive Transportation Plan, or CTP for short, is a long-range multimodal plan with a 25 to 30-year planning period. It includes a transportation vision for the county. It's developed cooperatively between NCDOT, RPO staff, which is the Rural Planning Organization, that's me, and a local stakeholder steering committee. And there's a couple of those folks in the room. The Yancey CTP incorporated existing land use and other plans previously adopted by local governments, as well as community and statewide goals, and most importantly, the input from the steering committee and the public. Modes of transportation evaluated during the Yancey CTP planning process include highway, public transportation, bicycle, and pedestrian. The planning process involved regularly scheduled virtual meetings of the steering committee. Obviously, we were dealing with COVID, so it was like a Zoom process. the development and the distribution of 2 online public input surveys, both in English and Spanish versions, a public workshop at the Burnsville Town Center, right here, an in-depth analysis of highway, bicycle, pedestrian, and public transportation networks. The planning process also included existing and future population analysis, employment growth analysis, as well as analysis of commuting patterns and crash data. The planning process resulted in 13 highway project recommendations, 49 bicycle and pedestrian recommendations, and 1 public transportation project recommendation. The recommendations will serve as a basis for projects in Yancey County to be considered for funding in the State Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP for short. In closing, the Yancey CTP Update Steering Committee met for the final time on May 5th of 2021 to evaluate survey comments received from the final public input survey and to finalize the draft Yancey CTP update for local government adoption consideration. Therefore, the reason I'm here is to request the adoption of the Yancey CTP update. I will also be requesting adoption from the Yancey County Commissioners on August 9th, which is this following Monday. The High Country RPO will also be acting on endorsement of the Yancey CTP on August 18th. And then the North Carolina Board of Transportation will act on adoption after that. The hope is to have all adoptions by September. An overview of the draft CTP recommendations and map have been provided in your meeting packet. And I brought a couple of these with me. I peppered them on the table there. So there was a couple hard copies there. And let's see what else I've got. And then the entire document has been posted on the RPO website. I can get that link to you if you'd like. And just thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Happy to answer any questions. I've also brought Pam Cook with NCDOT's Transportation Planning Division to help answer any questions that you all may have regarding this plan.
Any questions?
It was interesting though.
Yeah.
I mean, to read, lots of cyclists gonna be happy in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, the key takeaway here is, having this document is really beneficial when it comes time to update the State Transportation Improvement Program. If you don't have things documented in a plan, it's hard to get them not only in the State Transportation Improvement Program, but in a funding status. So that's what that was all about. And the steering committee's been wonderful. Tough times to try to do a study like this, but they stayed true to it. We did the best we could.
Well, I move that we, as the town, endorse the Yancey County Comprehensive Transportation Plan
Update.
update.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We're all in favor? Aye, okay. Thank you.
Thank you all very
Thanks,
much.
David.
The next thing on the agenda is Ms. Heather. Give us her updates.
Okay, starting off with the COVID-19 update, we're not hearing the positive news that we were at the last meeting. This highly contagious Delta variant is spreading rapidly throughout our state. Yancey County is currently in the red category again for transmission after only being in the green 3 weeks ago. The governor's mask mandate did lift last Friday. And, they're just carefully watching the numbers. I know personally of some lockdowns that have occurred at some facilities here in town where they're not letting visitors in. I think Mission Hospital has started a new regulation about visitors also. So that's something that everybody is carefully watching, and hopefully we will see these numbers turn around soon. The SOC, with DEQ, I have not seen a draft of the application yet, but I have had discussions with Keith Carpenter, with Withers Revenue Engineering Company, recently. He says they're close, they're still monitoring, what readings we're getting out at the wastewater treatment plant on Pine Swamp since, we had the new weir installed and the new measuring, device recalibrated. And last week, a couple of weeks ago, we were looking for lost sewer because we couldn't believe the readings were what they were. And so those have gone in the right direction, which is a positive thing since installing these new devices. And Shane, I think we're still down some. Yeah. So, he indicated that in talks with regional DEQ office, they would, in the interim, between finalizing the application and actually sending it off to Raleigh, include some relief on the tap moratorium. And we're gonna be asking for 50 taps to be allowed during that interim period. And then the hope is once it is completely finalized, they will lift the tap moratorium. That's not the same as extensions, but you know, we'll build some of that into the agreement as well. So that was good news. The West Main Sewer Interceptor Grant, CDBGI grant we are still waiting on the state to send us contracts. We let our RFQ out for engineering services, and the date for that, for final proposals was the 23rd of July. We received 3 proposals, and we have a committee that will meet on the 10th of August to review those and score them. At this time, but we can't sign anything with any engineering group or any administration with High Country until we actually get the contracts from the state. I had an email from Colleen Simmons with DEQ down in Raleigh this week, who indicated that they had sent the grant contracts up to Commerce for grant numbers, and that there was a holdup on, I think, the planning grant, a smaller amount, that HUD wanted some more information about that. So we're just waiting on grant numbers for them to issue those contracts. We feel like that'll be forthcoming soon. Waterline extension for Little Leaf Farms project, the Appalachian Regional Commission grant, ARC for short, has been submitted by Kelly Coffey at the High Country Council of Government, and he has begun work on the EDA and the Golden Leaf grants. So that's just moving along. It's in that phase. We'll see what money we get as to how that project moves along. Stormwater mapping, the field work is almost complete. It's going very well. Had an email from Jessica Welburn with High Country, and I think the last bit of field work they have to do is along 19, right sort of in the middle of the road. So they're going to start working on that probably next week, this being Craft Fair week, to get that done. And then she did not seem like it would take very long for them to get their deliverables ready for us to figure out how we want the information stored. So she will meet with Shane to talk about the different ways we can have desktop computer programs or handheld devices with a program that she works with, and paper maps. So that'll be good information. We have an update, discussion of the state revolving fund state loan for the water plant. We did receive news from DEQ that the region, or that the state water authority did approve our loan application for additional funds on that project. That was the sort of sister companion project to the OMC pump station that was put on hold because we never could get the bids to come in. We, at DEQ's behest, applied for additional funding, and we have received notification that that was approved. It'll have to go to the LGC, of course, for their final okay on it. So we're in the process of talking with McGill about where we are in that project, getting it before the LGC. We have a need for an update to our employee handbook on our vehicle policy. We had done some updates a few months back, and then we had changed the vehicle policy to allow law enforcement officers to take their vehicles home. We had in the policy talked about if you were outside 25-mile radius of the town limits, that there would be a fee associated with that. And we had set that fee up to be a certain number per mile. And then we got ready to implement it after the 1st of July. We talked with, Leslie talked with Sharon Gillespie, our auditor. She said the IRS would not let us charge a mileage fee for marked law enforcement vehicles, but we can charge a flat rental fee. So we changed the policy, or we're proposing to change the policy to it being $5 per day if you're over that 25-mile limit. And I think we've had some discussions with Chief Buchanan, and he
We only have one officer that that applies to, and that this is an agreeable amount for him because he works 14 days a month, the way it works out in his schedule, so
right.
it seemed to be an acceptable amount to make it worthwhile to him, so he was happy with this.
How much did you say?
It's $5 per day
$5.
instead of a set amount for mileage.
Yeah.
I think it was 20 cents per mile after that 25-mile mark. But apparently you can't do that for marked vehicles.
I just didn't understand how much you said this rental fee was.
Yeah. So I would ask for a motion to approve. I think you have a resolution in your packet
Yeah,
making
please.
that change.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
and we're all in agreement, so, okay.
And the last thing I'm just gonna let y'all know about, next Friday, August the 13th, since our town crews and law enforcement officers and town employees are very busy with the craft fair, the county usually holds their employee picnic on the Friday of the craft fair, but we're gonna do ours the afternoon the next week. And it'll be up at Raycourt Park, and there is a cornhole tournament. If any of y'all are great cornhole enthusiasts and want to join in, top prize will be a set of custom Town of Burnsville cornhole boards made by Mr. Buchanan, Chief of Police.
And they are very nice.
And
I
they
saw
are
a picture.
extremely nice.
They
They
are.
have the town seal on them, and they look good, so. And I don't have anything more to report about the tax report, other than, we did get the roll from the county, and Jackie's been going through it. And I think today, you guys, looked at some of that information and asked for a little bit of additional information, and so it won't be long until tax bills are ready to go out again. So that's my report.
Thank you, that's a good one. Department updates, we'll start with Shane Dale with Public Works.
All right, as far as the OMC pump station goes, we're getting closer. The pumps are running. There was a few bugs, like they are with anything when you first start up. I think we've got the biggest majority of that worked out. The contractor's not completely done down there yet. We've still got the demolition of the building and to remove the generator and a few other little odds and ends, but for the most part, it's close. Don't really have a completion date. I don't think I've talked to the contractor this week. I'm not sure that I've seen him the last 2 days. But as far as the new pumps are running, they're running well right now. Town street paving update, we've received most of our bids in and everything. I think we're getting ready to start trying to pave a few streets. use the POW bill.
That's good.
So maybe we can get some of these holes around here fixed. The water line for the new fire station, apparently Hyatt had some other stuff that they needed to get done or something. I don't know exactly what's took place, but anyway, they're supposed to be moving their equipment in here on Monday. It should be about a week of getting that line in. Other than that, that's pretty much about it, other than getting ready for craft fair and everything right now.
That's pretty good.
I will personally thank you for filling that pothole on Academy Street. I ran over it without knowing it had been filled, and I thought, what's wrong? And it was just like, oh, that's wonderful. I looked down and I saw that black tar stuff, and I thought, oh, this is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. You need to let the boys at the shed know, because I had nothing to do with that. I think I was going
Well,
on
you can
vacation
pass
when
it
that
along.
took place.
Thank you, Shane. Leslie with finance.
Okay, I laid you a pile of stuff around at your place.
You did.
The first thing was the overtime report, and hopefully by the end of this month, next week can start working and it'll go down.
Yep.
Next thing that I had was a financial statement as of the end of the fiscal year. You can just look at it, and this is the total cash between everything, and then I just put you a pie chart there to let you see what was the bulk of it. All right, then it was, the fire station paving is what I'm gonna amend the budget for, to include the contribution from their fund balance. I'm gonna increase that, and I'm gonna increase, I made its own capital outlay line, so it's increasing as well. I have to do this to please the LGC. But then I'm also gonna go ahead and amend the project ordinance with it as well, when, after we do the budget amendment. But I was just gonna give that information on that. Oh, okay, okay, all right, so let's go ahead and approve the change order, if you're okay to do that.
Okay, do I hear a motion on the consideration of change order number 2? Motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
We're all in agreement, okay.
Okay, so then let's go to the budget amendment. Okay, you've got the 38.4 from the fire department fund balance, and it's going to increase the capital outlay for the new fire department, 38.4. Then we have an increase on the revenue side for carryover from American Recovery Act of 22,447. We got that in addition to the 240 we thought we were getting, so we got some extra. So we're just gonna increase both sides of that. So I need a motion to approve that.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
You all agree, Buddy?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, so then we go to the project ordinances now. So the first project ordinance that we're gonna look at is just the fire department, just to reflect that 38.4. I increased the town of Burnsville contribution to 813, and then I made a line down here in expenditures. It's the next to last. It says paving, and it's got the 2-inch surface asphalt. So I just had to increase both of those. I need a motion to approve this as well.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Approve, okay. You got it.
Next one is the OMC pump station. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will be the last one of these for this one. I increased construction. You've already approved this change order. And I decreased the future change order line. There's no difference in the actual money. I just had to reflect the actual expenses.
This one we've already done, right?
You've approved the change order, I
Right.
think, at the last
At the
meeting on this.
last one.
This is just an update to the project ordinance reflecting that
Oh, okay,
amount.
okay.
We have to take,
We need to, you make a motion to approve this one?
Then we just need a motion to
Yeah,
approve the
the-
change in the project ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
On the OMC
I'll let
one.
you
Yeah, the project ordinance amendment,
On the OMC.
I'll make that motion
okay,
to
second.
approve.
I'll second.
All right, Ben, you agree? All right, we're in agreement.
Thank you.
Sorry, I got lost.
Me too. I was looking.
A lot of amendments there, Leslie.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I know, I said Chad was gonna freak out all the color copies I made.
All right, thank you, Leslie, appreciate
welcome.
that. Fire Department, Niles Howe.
Thank you. Our call report you have before you, it's pretty typical of about any month of the year. There's 34 calls this month, which is about our average per month per year, so we seem to be right in line with that. Our total calls to date are 223 calls so far this year. We got informed this week from Office of State Fire Marshal that our ratings inspection will be scheduled for November the 29th tentatively, and so we'll be doing a lot of work between now and then getting ready for that ratings inspection. If just to help you remember what that is, that's what lowered our ISO rating to 5, and so within 1,000 feet of the hydrant, so we have to every 5 years renew that, so that's what this inspection will be, and it's a pretty lengthy process. He'll be here a couple of days doing that, and at the same time he'll probably do the inspection of the new station. We have to have it pass a 9S inspection on it to occupy it as well, so that's the tentative schedule for that. We are in the midst of our annual hose testing. We've got I'd say about half of the hose tested so far, and we're trying to do it on Monday nights. So you see it's out and about spraying water everywhere. That's probably what we're doing. So we're trying to get that squared away before the cold weather gets here. Update on the building. The tile floors are down. The VCT tile is down all over the administrative part of the building. The ceramic tiles down in the restrooms, with the exception of the wainscoting on the walls. They had to put in the bathroom petitions before they could do that, and those are basically installed. They were working on them today and yesterday, so those probably are in place already. The heating contractor has been there, and the heaters in the Bay area were installed this week. The furnace in the administrative area had already been installed. The electricians are still working, wiring part of one of the Bay areas, and they still have to do the finish wiring inside the administrative area. Plumbers still have not done their finished plumbing inside the administrative area. The cabinets are for the kitchen are supposed to be here next week, so they'll probably try to start putting those in next week. And then, of course, you know about the paving from the report we had there, and the water line, and that will only leave the IT work and the communications portion of the building. So we're getting closer. Randy's saying maybe the end of this month. I'm saying probably more like the end of next month, maybe into October before they'll be completely. They've still got quite a bit of work to do, so we're getting there.
But you can't occupy until after that inspection, correct?
I cannot technically occupy the building until he inspects it.
Do you anticipate getting that okay, relatively soon after that inspection, or does that take?
Yeah, I think that'll go without saying, and I don't think there'll be a problem with that. It's just a requirement when you move the station from one location to the other, they have to do a 9S inspection, and he didn't want to make 2 trips. He wanted to do them both at the same time, so. If we get done substantially early, I may call him and see if he'll do the one of them a little early.
Is does that come from Raleigh? So you have to come from Raleigh or?
The guy that does it, the inspector actually lives in Marion.
Okay.
So I'm sure I'll have to run it to the guy in Raleigh to make sure it's all right for him to do that, but I think that might not be a problem.
So when this 5-year inspection that the fire marshal comes and undertakes, that will be when you can officially,
Well, actually, that doesn't determine it. The 9S inspection is what determines occupying the fire station. They're two separate inspections.
oh, okay.
And he wanted to do both of them together. It's a possibility if we finish substantially earlier, I can call him and get him to do the 9S. I don't know, I just have to ask. When he originally called me back early in the summer, I told him their contract went through November. That's the reason they scheduled this
Oh, okay.
inspection for about the 29th of November, because I told them that's how much time they had. So that's where that came from.
Oh,
So
okay.
we may be able to adjust that a little bit.
Well, I'm sure since it's a new fire department, if you call them early, they'll,
Yeah, well, we probably got a lot to do between now and then, between moving all that stuff that's over there, over to the new one and getting it set up. So it may take that long, I don't know, we'll see.
Well, it's getting close.
It's getting close.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Niles. Police Department, Brian Buchanan.
Thank you. Passed out our activity logs with that normal activity. The big update I have is our new hire. We got his paperwork back last week and he worked this past weekend. And he'll be jumping in full bore this weekend with the upcoming trash fair. So he'll be
Get his feet wet.
thrown right into the fire, yes. But he seems to be a fine young man. Justin West is his name. He's lived in a couple different places. Matthews Police Department was where he was before here, but he married a mountain girl and decided he wanted to move to the mountains. So he's so far so good. He seems to enjoy it, and we enjoy being around him. He'll be covering. So if you see a new officer out, odds are that's him. Say hello.
Where's he live at, Brown?
What's his what?
Where's he live at now?
With her family on Browns Creek, I believe. They're looking for either to purchase or build as a new family, but we all know what the market is at the moment, so we'll see how that works out. And as I mentioned, the craft fair is coming up this weekend. We're getting prepared and ready, and we're going to have some additional staffing out. It'll be after taking a year off. We'll have to get back into the swing of things, but I'm sure it'll be like riding a bike. Hopefully the weather will hold up. That's my update for police department. Zoning code enforcement, we've had several smaller projects come in and some other larger projects that are talked about. Nothing really to report as far as major projects that are to the permitting stage and that type of thing, but there are several projects out there that have been discussed. So there's certainly building going on and a lot of renovation. We've done a lot of those types of permitting, mechanical, electrical, those types of things as far as handling the paperwork for those, but not as much new construction that's at the permitting stage yet, but there's some that's coming. That's my update unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Good report. Virtual events.
The only new thing we have is the organizers of the March for Jesus are requesting the use of the stage, and with you all's approval, we'll work that out.
We have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second? Okay, Bunny?
I second.
You agree?
yeah, whatever.
All right.
As long as they got the money, they can have the stage.
That's right.
Thank you. And one note on an event on the square is this Sunday's COVID memorial has been postponed. So they made that decision in the last day or so. So I just want to make you all aware.
Did you say it's been postponed?
Yes, they haven't announced a date yet, but they're hopeful to be able to do it later in the fall. And that's all.
Thank you. Corbin?
Yeah, we've been staying mostly busy. We just came out of 4 concerts last month, which was very fun and exciting. And coming up this month on August 14th, we have Dylan Wilson, the Five and Dimers coming. So we're really excited for that concert. With a little bit of further discussion of COVID, we are expecting a couple of cancellations. We had 2 cancellations last month, and then what would have been the ATRC benefit, which would have been yesterday, that ended up canceling. So we are expecting a few cancellations coming up. Hopefully not, though. No, we want to just stay busy and get back on track with the normal events.
Usually the Five and Dimers are they draw a pretty big crowd.
Yes. Yeah. We're excited for the show, for sure.
Yeah, they're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council members' reports. Denise, I think you've got something to tell us.
Yes, with a lot of discussion about trying to get internship programs and apprenticeship programs, especially for Public Works. Heather and I reached out to Renee McCurry, April Jones, and Cynthia Deaton. They all work with Mount Heritage High School. And so we'll have a meeting set up with them the end of this month and hopefully can develop some kind of program or what it would look like and hopefully move forward with some kind of progress there. And also too, Lynn Austin, she was notified, and so she'd like to get involved with the meetings and hopefully maybe do some for public local government over at the county level. So we'll keep you posted. So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
The high school kids, to get them
Interested in understanding about public works jobs, and especially for the ones who want to stay in the area
Right.
and are mechanically inclined and would like to work with town. Thought that'd be a good opportunity.
That sounds great.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Updates from, does any other council member have a report? I don't, so. Advisory boards, Jamie McMahon, I think you were first.
Good evening. Good to be with you as usual this month. I will say we had a busy Economic Development Commission meeting yesterday. Unfortunately, most of it was in closed session, so I won't be able to share a lot of it with you, but suffice it to say that means there's some projects hopefully we'll be updating you on in the near future too. Things that I will share with you, we did make a grant award from EDC's Downtown Entrepreneurship Assistance Program to Cast Iron Kitchen, which is opening on West Main Street, I think in September, though I think they're limitedly open for Crafts Fair weekend this weekend with some small plates here. Certainly excited to make that grant to Chris Hall, who's opening that business here downtown on West Main. That's the third one of those that we've made this year, so there's certainly been an uptick in interest in that from business startups here in town and expansion, so we're happy to entertain those applications. I think I have 2 others out that are supposed to be coming in soon, so we expect probably to hit the ceiling on what we budgeted for those this year and then take a request of the board to actually expand that program. One thing that I would mention to you sort of as a preview of coming attractions, hopefully to you guys, I may recall that we set up a loan program in conjunction with EDC, the county, and the town to provide what we call small business COVID assistance loans, which basically were at that point in time bridge loans to businesses who were open who had to shutter because of COVID. In the sort of transition in our economy, we're trying to incentivize startups and expansions and try to reinvigorate businesses and look at new entrepreneurial startups here. I hope to come to you guys with a proposal that we would continue that memorandum of understanding in effect with some modification to change that to a revolving loan program, which would benefit startups here and sort of in tandem with EDC's grant program. We made out of that program 6 grants in total to local businesses. 4 of those were repaid directly with SBA funds. 2 of them are being repaid now and are scheduled to pay out, I think, in 3 or 4 months' time. So we were able to put that $100,000 endowment for that revolving loan fund to some good use, and I'd like to continue to use it. Though we may tweak its guidelines somewhat to make it more suitable to the situation now. I believe our memorandum of understanding with the town expires in October, so it's my plan hopefully to bring to you guys for consideration something in September to look at, or October at the latest. Just to put that on your radar. You heard mention of the Lee Farms project that's moving forward. The application for permit approval, the draft has been sent to the Army Corps, though that still has to be refined. I'm actually flying up to Boston with the county manager and our engineer to meet with their engineers, CFO and CEO at the end of this month at their facility there in Devens, Massachusetts. So that project continues to roll along, certainly has impact the town as a water and sewer customer on that parcel there, and certainly appreciate Heather's working with us to get the applications lined up for funding on that line extension. We also had the kickoff meeting on our project to consider potential site either jointly with Mitchell County or independently for future industrial site development. We had that meeting a couple weeks ago, last week actually. Heather joined us for that with our colleagues from Mitchell County. Certainly we wanted her input and to keep her closely involved in that process as we look not only at evaluating potential sites for industrial development, also how we deal with water and sewer needs for whatever future industrial development looks like for us. So we'll have more things to share with you on that too as that moves forward. I'm meeting with the consultant at Sanford and Holzhauser Group tomorrow with my colleague in Mitchell County, Mickey Duvall, to look at initial sites here and there on that project. And the other thing that's been taking up a lot of my time recently is I'm halfway in the middle of Yancey EDC. That had its first opportunity to serve as chair of the Carolina West Regional Organization for a 3-year term, which started last year. It was an interesting time to start that in the middle of COVID. We didn't do a lot as far as business recruitment. That's basically the organization that markets the entire 7-county area around Asheville for business consulting, site selection, to cultivate business opportunities there. We've, serving as chair, I've lined up a couple of events with Carolina West Group, which we're rolling out to. One is a meeting with site consultants in the upstate area in Greenville this month on the 20th, which really is a good opportunity to connect with people who've been working these projects basically behind closed doors since COVID happened. So it's been difficult to sort of, if you're trying to market a site or get a project started, to connect with those people. They've just been in their offices or at their beach house somewhere, wherever they do their work these days. So it's a good opportunity for us in the region, but for Yancey County as well to have a seat at the table and be hosting them in Greenville. And then we're hosting Scott Hamilton, the president of the Golden Leaf Foundation here in Western North Carolina, at an event that we've invited the mayor, Heather, and other folks here and people across the region. They're about to announce some new funding opportunities through Golden Leaf, and we're pleased that Scott's coming to the West at our invitation to announce those programs here. Of course, he's a native of Henderson County and a native of Western NC too. So it's been a good opportunity for Yancey EDC to sort of step in that role of, leading that regional group as we get wound back up to try to start the business of marketing the entire region again for economic development opportunities. That's what I've got. Unless you have any particular questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I hope y'all enjoy the crafts fair. I'll be in Houston, Texas this weekend.
Oh,
Thank you, Jane.
I believe I did this.
I took the cowards away.
Christie, Yancey, Chamber of Commerce.
I know she'll enjoy the crafts fair.
I'm planning on enjoying Sunday. Thank you all for having me, and thank you all so much for everything that this town does to make this crafts fair happen. It would not happen without you. It wouldn't happen without the community and all the volunteers that we have here. One person cannot do all of this. So that being said, the crafts fair is going along pretty well. I think that everything's scheduled, which of course makes me terrified that I've forgotten something. Jamie told me I was just being paranoid, but I'm pretty sure there's something I've forgotten. It's fine. It'll be fine. we are planning on having some COVID protocols in place with a station at 2 of our major entrances where people can pick up free mask and hand sanitizer, and the wash, wear, wait signs that the town has produced will be available, as well as a warning that the CDC does recommend that you wear a mask even if you have been vaccinated. So that's the plan on Crafts Fair. I did this morning the morning show in Johnson City, WJHL, and tomorrow morning I'll be on WSBA in Spartanburg. That one's taped, thank goodness. But so that's as much as I have on the Crafts Fair. We'll know how it went on Saturday evening, but I think it's all going to go real well. Besides that, numbers are up in the county as far as tourism. We had more than 1,000 people in our visitor center this past month, which is a huge spike for us. So I can't tell you what it was this time last year because nobody was keeping track. I'll be able to tell you next year if those were good numbers or not. So any questions about the Crafts Fair or anything coming up?
Well, just good luck.
Next month I'll be able to talk about the chamber. Thank you.
You will do fine, I'm quite sure. The next item is American Red Cross, Joseph and Karen.
Good evening, all. Thank you for giving me the few minutes here to talk about the American Red Cross. I saw on the agenda the topic point as being request for a waiver, and that kind of gets in the way of what we really need to talk about is getting more sponsors and more locations for blood drives. And that's why we're in front of you today, because first off, did you guys get the pamphlets and the letter from Gail Barksdale? Just wanted to make sure that you have seen that.
Yes.
Okay. So myself and my wife Karen, we are community volunteer leads. We're volunteers for the American Red Cross. We live in Yancey County. And so our job is to come in front of forums like this to make sure that the Red Cross is providing the services that this community needs. And there's a number of them besides disaster services and the training and the blood services and service to the armed forces. So Karen and I, we try to work all those lines of effort for the Red Cross. One of them is the blood services. And the letter that you got from Gail Barksdale, she is a Red Cross paid staff. Her job is to try to get new sponsors, new locations for blood drives. And she mentions in her letter the reason for that is COVID-19. There have been many cancellations of blood drives because organizations, locations don't feel comfortable in this environment. So there is a very dire need for blood right now. There is only a less than a one-day supply. If there really was a disaster, we would be in trouble. And so Gail's job and Karen and I's job to help is to try to get new sponsors, to try to get new locations in our community so that we can help in this situation. So what's the need? There's some stats. Every 2 seconds, someone in America needs blood. 4.5 million Americans will need blood transfusion each year. 1 in 7 entering a hospital will need blood. 45% of the blood that is collected goes to our cancer patients. with that big need, only 37% of the US population is eligible to donate, and less than 10% do. So getting the people that are eligible is difficult. And the COVID-19 has not helped that. So the Red Cross provides more blood than any other organizations in the United States. There are about 500 blood drives daily, and they collect about 40% of our nation's need for blood. And what's different when you donate with the Red Cross versus if you donate with another organization is that the money that the Red Cross gets from selling the blood, 90 cents of every dollar comes back to the community in services to the armed forces, in disaster services, in the training, all that. So, you know, when you donate with the Red Cross, there's definitely a benefit to the community. In this area, we have locations that are very good and about having donations every 58 days or so, because that's the amount of time before you can give blood after you've given. So First Baptist, Higgins Memorial, the one I'm missing, Altec, the one that's going to be this week. Bowlings.
I'm the blood ambassador.
Karen is a blood ambassador, meaning when people come to donate, they meet the ambassador who gets them checked in, makes sure they're comfortable, sees what their needs are, and then afterwards, after they donate, make sure that they rest, they get something to drink, they get something to eat. Just a pleasant, happy face, you know, to make the experience as nice as it can be. But with even these organizations, we hope we can do more. And with folks in this room, there's so many connections here that we could have. We recently met with the Rotary Club last month, or 2 months ago, asking them to please be a sponsor. They agreed, and they had their first successful event last month, collecting 26 blood donations. And they've agreed to do it quarterly or whatever they're so that, you know, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get more organizations, more people, whether you're on the council, whether you're on staff. There are other counties that do competitions. They call them Battle of the Badges. And maybe the police folks or the fire folks might have heard that from the other counties.
Could you speak a little more into the microphone? I'm really losing a lot of what you're saying.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. So Battle of the Badges is something that other counties do, and it gets the organizations, the fire departments and the police departments or whatever, to have a friendly competition, and at the end of the day, do something that is very beneficial for people in need of blood. So there's things like that, you know, we'd like to introduce, we'd like to talk to folks about. And, you know, typically when you're working with the Red Cross, most people have a positive impression of the Red Cross. You see them out, you know, with the disasters and all that, helping. Volunteers, 90% are volunteers, 10% are paid staff. And typically when you work with the Red Cross, it is a win-win situation. It's good for the community, and it definitely builds rapport, I think. Karen and I came to Burnsville. We saw the potential that we could help. And I'm hopefully that we're doing that to some degree. We want to be a positive influence, and if there's anything ever negative, we definitely want to hear about it. The Red Cross has not always been here in this community, and we saw the need, and so we wanted to step up and make sure that the Red Cross, what they have to offer, you know, we're here and we can help provide that. So that's really the ask. Yes, there was discussion about waiving the fee if a location was here, because the American Red Cross just can't afford to do that as a nonprofit. They have in the past paid $50 or something like that to places, but it's not something that, you know, if that's a hard stance from the council, then we know, you know, that's not a possibility for the Red Cross in this location. But let's think about other locations. Where other places? I mean, we've really got the churches are helping us considerably. And maybe it's the new fire station. The requirements for a blood drive are not that big, I mean, but, so just things to consider. And I hope that's my message today, is more of a consideration, more discussion, and really the need is out there. We need, as a community, it would be great to increase our donations. Is there any questions or comments for me?
We certainly appreciate the work that you guys are doing, because I know it is a huge need. So, you know, maybe we can talk about it and see if there's, you know, something that we can do. The Battle of the Badges sounded good to me. But we certainly appreciate what you do. And, you know, you got a hard job.
Sometimes it's hard, but I tell you what, a lot of times it's very rewarding. Karen and I have really been shown affection and positive comments, and so it's what motivates you to come up and do something like that. So, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think y'all have High Country's minutes in your package, and we don't have a closed session. The next town council meeting is September the 2nd, and do we have to get a motion to adjourn? We don't do that, do we?
Yes.
Do we?
I move that we
Okay.
adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I think we're all in favor of that one.
Yes.
Thank y'all for coming.